I feel like this is the first day at the new school. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our very first press conference here in the brand new media room. And I hope everyone had a wonderful and blessed Easter and Passover, and that if you're celebrating Ramadan Mubarak, and wish you again, everybody, great holidays and family time. We don't have quite, this is not quite what it's going to be because I'm told there's a glare from above the pipe and drape. So for the cameramen and women back there, they may see that. Before we jump into why we're here today, we are here for a very exciting reason, and I'll introduce some VIPs who are with us today. There are a couple of things I wanted to address if I could, and I haven't been with the media in a little bit, so some of this is a touch in the rearview mirror, but not too much. First of all, I want to remind everybody that Evan Gershkovich is a Jersey guy, the Wall Street Journal reporter who has been jailed by that complete pig, Putin. This is a guy who grew up in Princeton. His parents were Soviet emigres. I believe they now live in Philadelphia. Evan still has huge roots in Princeton. I've been back and forth on a number of occasions with intermediaries, with his mom and dad, and with his many friends in Princeton. I know the president, I know the Secretary of State are taking this deadly seriously at the highest levels of their respective institutions. But Putin is a pig. This is yet another example of that. And please God, Evan is released unharmed as soon as possible. Please keep him and his family in your prayers. And Putin needs to be brought to justice. And that leads me to the next guy, a guy who was a friend of mine and an American hero. He died on Friday at the age of 103, and that is Ben Ferencz. And if you weren't read into who Ben was the last living prosecutor at the Nuremberg trials. I met him when I was our ambassador in Germany, where he was a fluent speaker and frequented, pushing, I think sadly in vain, for a more robust international criminal court, which exists but not at the level of strength that he would have liked to have seen. He was one of the prosecutors of, among others, Hermann Goering, who, like Putin, is a coward, and Goering killed himself the night before he was to be executed. He then went on and was the lead prosecutor against the Einsatzgruppe, which in total murdered 1 million innocent, overwhelmingly Jews, in what is largely the former Soviet Union, East Europe. The Baba Yar massacre in Ukraine is infamous and is one example of the awful crimes these folks committed. And Ben was right there prosecuting on our behalf. So I would just say, keep both of these guys, Ben's memory and Evan, alive and well in your prayers, and may Putin and his cronies ultimately get the same fate as the Nazis who Ben prosecuted. We move on. We're just hearing reports that there has been another tragic mass shooting in Louisville, Kentucky. The reports indicate that at least 4 people have been killed and a number of others are injured. Our thoughts are with all the victims and their families. I've reached out to my friend Governor Andy Beshear to offer our condolences and our support during this difficult time. I've been with Andy literally 2 times in person in the past couple of weeks. He's had to deal with this awful tragedy, floods, tornadoes, 2 Black Hawk helicopters that collided a couple of weeks ago, killing 9 service members, including 1 young, precious lad from Bergen County here. This shooting today is also personal for Andy. He knows at least, I think, 2 of the victims, one of whom is lost. Next up, again, lots going on, as everyone is aware, and several of you have followed me earlier to the room where I have to say, admittedly, I'm still finding my way around, and one of you asked me where are we going? I said, I have no idea, but I followed the troopers, so thank you, Bernie and team. As everyone is aware, Rutgers University faculty and staff began a strike at 9 a.m. this morning. I want to share, I think everyone knows this, that both representatives of the university and the union bargaining committee are meeting right now, just a few dozen feet down the corridor, along with members of our team, members of PERC, and I am hopeful that we can come to a resolution that meets both sides' needs fairly and come to that resolution ASAP, as I indicated was my strong desire to both parties. Rutgers University is not only the State University of New Jersey, it is also one of our nation's premier institutions of higher learning, and as such, our administration is committed to ensuring that Rutgers educators and staff are able to continue their critical work, and importantly, that Rutgers students, particularly given that we're on April 10th with the clock ticking toward the end of the school year, that those students are able to pursue their education. Finally, before we get to the news as to why we're here, on a happier note, I am thrilled to share, and many of you are probably already aware, as this update was released on Friday, that New Jersey's credit rating has been upgraded by Moody's to A1. This is our fourth rating upgrade and the second by Moody's in the past 13 months. This upgrade is a direct result of the responsible state budgets we have passed, and by the way, submitted in this year, budgets with historic surpluses, which are meeting both our immediate needs for affordability and our long-term obligations, and that are allowing us to end the bad practice of the recent past. Throughout this administration, through the leadership of our terrific treasurer, Liz Moyo, and her team, we have put New Jersey back on a proper fiscal footing, the footing past governors and legislatures allowed get away from. We are in a far better position today to be able to respond to changing economic conditions that at any time in our history, and certainly tough times may still be ahead, but we will be prepared to face them. Now, with all of that being said, I'd like to get to why we are here today. First of all, I'm incredibly honored to be joined by our acting Civil Service Commission Chair and CEO, Allison Chris Myers. Great to have you with us, Allison. I'm equally honored to welcome to her right, Byron Auguste, President and co-founder of the national not-for-profit Opportunity at Work, which is focused on tearing down the paper ceiling, holding back millions of American workers and the many New Jerseyans among them. Byron's work both in the administration as well as at McKinsey and now at Opportunity at Work is renowned. So it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trenton. We're also joined by a great member of the legislature and a dear friend, Assemblyman Anthony Varelli, who represents, by the way, this very backyard here in Trenton. Anthony, great to see you. So this morning, in a few moments, I am signing an executive order that will prioritize work experience and practical skills above a college degree for state employment opportunities, including for jobs which we may currently be seeking or about to seek qualified applicants. In doing this, I'm inviting countless New Jerseyans who have the skills and experience necessary for these jobs to apply for them and to serve their fellow New Jerseyans. And through this executive order, I'm proud to define what is going to be a central principle to the next New Jersey that I've spoken of before, in which this administration aims to build. That skills and experience gained through prior employment are just as important, if not in many cases more important, than holding a specific degree. We are tearing down the so-called paper ceiling. Arbitrary degree requirements have left countless smart and talented New Jerseyans at a distinct disadvantage in the labor market and in the workplace. Every New Jerseyan should have the ability to have a good job with growth opportunity and the ability to secure their place in the middle class regardless of whether or not they have a college degree. It is past time that we stop looking at a college degree as the only arbiter of success and look at the entire person, what they can offer, their lived experiences, the skills they've gained, not just in a classroom, but in a workplace. Allison will correct me if I'm wrong here, but of the more than 5,000 job titles cataloged by the Civil Service Commission, there are roughly 2,000 which require an applicant to hold a 4-year degree. And every year, hundreds of applicants are turned away for these jobs, not because they lack the experience, but because they lack a piece of paper from a 4-year school. These are jobs that run the length and breadth of state government. These are jobs that can provide a rewarding career with salaries that can top $120,000 a year. Through this move, I am proud to add New Jersey to the short list of states that are leading the way forward for our nation's economic future by opening up opportunities for public employment to potentially thousands of qualified residents. We will be alongside Maryland, Pennsylvania, Alaska, Colorado, North Carolina, and Utah. As you could tell from this list, this is not about being a Democrat or a Republican, or a red state or a blue state. These actions have been hailed by both the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal. It's about doing the right thing for the people we all serve and who wish to be a part of our state's future success. I would like to specifically acknowledge the governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, another dear friend, who took similar executive action to his credit on his first day in office this past January. And if I may quote Governor Shapiro, "The people should decide what path is best for them, not have it decided by some arbitrary requirement or any arbitrary limitation." And I must also give a shout out to another dear friend, Utah Governor Spencer Cox, who serves as vice chair at the National Governors Association and who is a tremendous partner to me in my role as chairman of that organization in promoting common sense bipartisan solutions for the challenges facing our nation. And we are putting ourselves alongside a growing number of private sector employers who similarly realize that requiring a college degree for a growing number of jobs is not only unnecessary, but is keeping them from being able to find the talent that they need. Now, to be sure, there are jobs within the state workforce which will continue to require a degree. For instance, a law degree is still going to be required to be a deputy attorney general. But that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be opportunities to assist that deputy attorney general in a position that helps ensure that our justice system works. And beyond that, it doesn't mean that the person in that position won't have the opportunity to go on and get a degree, or even go on to pursue a law degree. So this is about more than just opening doors. It is also about allowing folks to put their foot in the next door. Over the next 6 months, Chair Allison Chris Myers and her team at the Civil Service Commission will be able to use their regulatory authority to identify the positions for which a college degree is not a necessity, and then take the steps needed to ensure those jobs align with this executive order. It's a tall task given the number of jobs to be reviewed, but I would not have chosen Chair Myers for this task if I didn't think she and her team could get it done and get it done right. And that 6-month clock starts, by the way, here and now once I put pen to paper. But before I do, I wish to invite to the podium 2 folks. First up, my partner in this effort of opening doors of opportunity for more talented and dedicated New Jerseyans, the aforementioned acting chair and CEO of the Civil Service Commission, Allison Chris Myers.
Good morning, everybody. I have some prepared remarks, but the first thing I have to say is happy birthday to the Civil Service Commission. We are 115 years old today. Today, on April 10th, 1908 was when we first started operation. So, first of all, thank you, Governor Murphy, and your staff for inviting the civil service to be represented here today. I'd also like to acknowledge my esteemed colleagues with the Civil Service Commission that have chosen to be here with me today. It's an honor to be tasked with leading such an important initiative. Nationwide, public college enrollment has seen a significant decline over the last 5 years or so. According to the National College Student Clearinghouse Research Center, four-year public colleges enrollment has declined 6% in 2022 alone. Also, as we are all aware, higher education has become much more expensive over the years and may not be accessible to all residents with fewer resources, or to those who simply chose not to pursue a college degree and went to work right out of high school. These occurrences become an issue when there is a need for more workers, for more jobs, but there is a misalignment between the competitive job market and the public sector workforce. Another reason why this executive order is particularly dear to me is because I myself have come from a working class background. I've been a laborer, I've worked in a glass factory, I enlisted in the military service, and eventually, through all those experiences, I worked my way as an undergraduate and through law school working full-time. I truly believe that these experiences are an asset and allow me to identify with the very people we serve in our civil service community. I've seen firsthand how diversity in skill and education can positively impact an organization and the communities around us. It is imperative that we recognize both skill and competency from all walks of life, and that individuals with different educational backgrounds are all valuable to public service. By signing this executive order today, Governor Murphy is telling New Jersey, we support you. Whether you have a degree, whether you don't have a degree, whether you're working towards a degree. Thank you, Governor Murphy, and the administration for recognizing how crucial this step is to building a stronger and fairer state, and for ensuring that removing barriers for state employment remains a top priority. Thank you again, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Great job. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to the Civil Service Commission. Did you say 115? 115. 115. That commission looks remarkable for its age, I have to say. I also noted, I didn't realize this till I was sitting in the audience, that we tripled the amount of both Jersey flags and U.S. flags in our move down the street here. So we're flying the flags. Thank you, Allison, so much for your remarks, for your lived experience, by the way, which is highly relevant here, and for your leadership. And to your colleagues, we thank you as well for all your great work. Last but not least, again, I mentioned him earlier. He is a national figure in the very topic that we're discussing today, and in many respects has almost single-handedly moved the debate away from not that long ago, Byron, right, when you felt like everybody needed a four-year degree, to where we are today, which means jobs are available for those who have the experience, if not the academic experience for those jobs. Please help me welcome again Byron Auguste, who is the Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Opportunity at Work. Byron.
Thank you, yes, and happy birthday to the Civil Service Commission. And thank you, Governor Murphy, for including me in this important event. With today's executive order, the state of New Jersey is sending one clear message. If you can do the job, you can get the job. This is the right message, this is a motivating message, and it's a smart one. Opportunity at Work works with companies and communities across the country to help them tap into the talents of STARS. That's American workers who are skilled through alternative routes, STARS. And across the nation, we hear from both private sector and public sector employers, we can't find the talent we need. There's over 10 million open jobs across the country, in many respects the public sector most of all. But at the same time, we hear from STARS across the country, I know what I can do, but no one will give me a chance. I know what I can do, but no one will give me a chance. Governor Murphy's commitment to skills-first hiring in New Jersey is a solution to both of these challenges. It's a win-win. In New Jersey, nearly 2 million New Jerseyans in the labor market today are STARS. They're skilled through alternative routes rather than through a bachelor's degree. New Jersey STARS have valuable skills they've gained through a number of routes, such as military service, community college, workforce training, and above all, from on-the-job learning by doing the work in frontline essential jobs. Opportunity at Work's data shows that almost 1 million New Jersey STARS have the skills today for jobs that earn at least 50% more than the jobs they're in. Find out what they can do, hire based on skills. And it's not an either-or. New Jersey is rightly proud of its excellent universities, and college can be and should be a bridge to opportunity. College should not be a drawbridge pulling up and shutting out anyone who doesn't get across. That's not what it should be. STARS are the other half of the skilled workforce in New Jersey and states around the nation, and states that tap into all their talents are the ones that are going to lead into our future. I believe you call that the next New Jersey. So this executive order is real. The roles that it will address are important roles for the state of New Jersey, and they're very good jobs for the people in them. And the talent, skill, and resourcefulness of New Jersey STARS are also real. If you're someone who believes data, Opportunity at Work has all the receipts on this, on the skills of STARS in New Jersey, and we're happy to share them with any of you. And if you believe your own eyes, remember what you saw in the pandemic, when New Jersey's essential workers, over 70% of whom are STARS, kept us safe and kept us going with their courage and dedication and with adaptive ingenuity and essential skills. STARS have been showing up for New Jersey all along. It's great to see New Jersey recognizing STARS by hiring for skills. As Governor Murphy and the state government lead the way to the next New Jersey, I think we'll see many more of New Jersey's great companies making the same move, and I certainly hope to see more. And that move is to tear the paper ceiling, hire for skills, and hire STARS. Thank you.
Byron, thank you. Thanks both to you and Allison. And as I mentioned, you've moved the needle on this entire national debate. So with that, I'll ask my colleagues. We're going to do this for the first time here. See how we do. Moving some furniture. You want some help? So far, so good? A little bit more. There you go. If I could ask Allison and Byron to come on up and join me. I'll do the money shot even though I can't see a thing. This will appear as though I can. Now we'll get real. Put on some glasses. I won't go through this in its entirety, but it's Executive Order number 327, and lots of whereases, but it basically says, by virtue of my authority, we hereby order and direct the chairperson and chief executive officer, Allison, of the commission, to within 6 months identify the job classifications, determine which are appropriate. Additionally, within 6 months, the commission shall include the appropriate practical experience in the public postings. And that's a big part of this, right? So folks we should not put the burden on folks out there looking for a job to figure out on their own whether or not they've got the right skills. The onus should be on us. That's basically it. And Allison and her team have the regulatory authority already. So this executive order takes advantage of authority that already exists. So with that, here we go. And this is a fairly straightforward operation today. The first pen is up to the acting chair and chief executive officer, Allison Chris Myers of the New Jersey Civil Service Commission. Byron, not surprisingly, you're on deck. To Byron Auguste, who is the CEO and co-founder of Opportunity at Work, congratulations. And just because he showed up today for our first press conference, one of my friends and a great legislator, let's get this to that man right there, Anthony Pirelli. This is now, it's not the law of the land, I guess it's the order of the land. Big day for the home team. Congratulations, everyone. Well done. Congratulations. Great to be with you. I really appreciate your show. Are you based in DC?
Yeah, that's
Is he still Let's hear it again for both Allison and Brian. I think we're going to take a few questions here, but obviously we have to move some furniture. Please bear with us. To each of you, I would be, if I say I'll bet a buck that there will be an on-topic question, I'll probably lose it because someone has heard that and they'll now ask an on-topic question. But with that, folks. Hey, Brian.
Off-topic now?
Yeah, please.
As far as Rutgers is concerned, the bottom line is money. Are you prepared to see an increase in tuition in order to fund some of what the union is asking for?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of any solution that takes it out on the back of the students as a general matter. But beyond that, let's let this process play out. I'm not happy it's gotten to this point. I said this to them, both sides. I am happy that we're able to get in a room together, and this administration is well represented in that room. And I expect a result, a deal that is a fair deal for all parties, ASAP. But I'm not a fan of a deal that's on the back of our students. To be determined. Let's see how it plays out over the next couple of days. I have to go to Charlie because I haven't seen him in about 5 years, and then we'll go to Dustin, who I haven't seen in 3 years. Charlie, it must be an important day for you to show up here. I just want to acknowledge that.
Rest assured. But can you just address the general expectation? You've enjoyed immense support from union labor. Are you facing an expectation that it's maybe time for you to deliver on their behalf because of the support they've given you? Or how do you address that overhanging history as you go into these negotiations?
Listen, we enjoyed, Charlie, very good relations with both Rutgers on the one side and the various labor groups and representatives on the other side. So that's a good place to start. And we want to see a fair result that works for both sides of the trade here. I just am not happy it's come to this. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. So that's why we yesterday said everybody's going to get into a room, and we'll do a version of locking the door and throwing the key away until we come up with a solution here.
I guess we've heard from people that, we were there for Phil Murphy, now it's time. I mean, this is one side of the street, of course, but we were there for Phil Murphy, we raised money, we put boots on the ground. It's time for him to step up for us. That sentiment that's out there.
I don't think, Charlie, as a general matter, I'm going to go out on a limb, and my colleagues can correct this otherwise. I don't think there's been a more pro-labor administration in the history of this state. So I think we've got pro-labor, and Anthony is a member of that community, in his case on the trade side, but I think on all sides of this, we have been unabashedly, I call ourselves the quintessential American organized labor state. So I think, and we don't just say that, the evidence backs it up. But let's let this play out. I mean, we need to get a resolution here. If we don't get a resolution, there are many losers, including the many, many thousands of students who go to Rutgers, and that would be a really bad, bad outcome. Dustin.
Thanks. What, if any, involvement have you or your staff had in the negotiations up to this point besides calling this meeting? And if there's any color you can provide on what you did say today during the meeting. Secondly, what's your view of Rutgers potentially taking legal action to try to block the strike as the university is apparently set up in plans to do?
We've been very involved. When I say we, both we, our administration, and me personally. I was back and forth with labor leaders, by example, all day yesterday and last night, as well as senior officials at Rutgers at the highest levels, as was our team. And my message, I think some of you were here and saw the brevity of the meeting, because the message is simple. I'm not happy that it's come to this. I am happy that we're in a room together. Figure this out ASAP, period. So that's the message. And the last question was on legal action. I'm not a lawyer. I hope it doesn't come to that, and that's why we've said let's get into a room right now and figure this out. Hold on, we'll go to both of you guys. We'll go Alex and then come back. We'll go the other way around. One of the most gracious moments I've ever seen Alex in. So
Yes. But what do you say, and you mentioned it briefly, to the students? I mean, some are getting ready to graduate, and I'm sure they're concerned. And then others, parents are making decisions about what schools their kids are going to at this time of the year. What do you say to them in light of the situation right now? Will there be professors there? Will they get the education that they deserve?
they're pissed off, and so am I.
Last month in a statement, President Holloway noted that it's illegal for public sector employees to go on strike in New Jersey. He called the strike unlawful. So number one, to you, is this strike unlawful? And number two, are you comfortable with a resolution that involves legal action compelling union members to go back to work? Is that an acceptable outcome?
Yeah, as I mentioned, I think Dustin's question kind of glanced on this. I'm not a lawyer. I hope it does not come to that. And that's why they're here today. So let's hold off on that, because I'm an optimist. And God willing, we're going to get a resolution here. It won't be easy, but they're in that room for a reason. Please. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to comment on that. Ma'am.
Hi, Governor. Shane Brown from Fox 29. I'm not sure if I heard when exactly did your office become involved? You know, this has been going on for some time. And also, what tactics are your people taking in that room that, you know, haven't already been taking throughout this whole time that you think will make a difference?
Can I appeal to Alex for a second? I think people are too far back. I can barely see them. So in the future, let's get even though I know that I say that at my own personal safety peril. We've been involved in one form or another, including me personally, for months. So, you know, we've not been necessarily in rooms with negotiations taking place, but we enjoy, as I mentioned to Charlie's question, we enjoy very good relations with both sides of the house here, both labor as well as Rutgers. And then your second part was?
What specific tactic do you think that your office is making that will, you know, result in something different?
Yeah, I mean, I think the very force and nature of our office and our administration in the room basically with a lock the door, throw away the key mentality, has a very significant potential to move the needle in the right direction, and that's what we're hoping for. Matt and then Joey.
Governor, the main sponsors of the Election Transparency Act and the main proponents have said that one of the best things that it would do is shed light on dark money donations. Do you think it's appropriate, having signed the bill into law, a little fanfare, that the organization that the First Lady runs, that you should encourage that group to disclose its donors in the nature of the law that you signed?
I'll, as I always have, and this will probably frustrate you, but I'll defer to them, the folks who run that organization. But that is one of the main objectives of that bill. A bill, by the way, which is hardly perfect, but it's a bill at the end of the day, obviously, by signing it, that I support. And more transparency and more disclosure is a big part of that. And I also think updating the contribution limits for the first time in a long time has the added benefit of putting more money into the main institutional political buckets as opposed to being directed to outside entities, which has been the unfortunate trend since Citizens United. I will say this, unilaterally disarming in an electoral finance sense, in an electoral finance capacity, makes no sense at all. Joey.
You won't call on that group to disclose?
They're over 21, they'll make their own call. Joey.
So on the same bill, obviously it got some pushback from both progressive groups and Republican legislators that it would reduce transparency, particularly with regard to pay-to-play laws and ELEC. Do you think that those concerns have any merit?
It got some Republican support, am I right?
It did, but it also got a lot of Republican detractors. But just in general, do you think that those concerns have merit?
Yeah, I would say this. I said this a minute ago to Matt's question. I think this does a lot of good in terms of transparency, disclosure, bringing money from outside to inside, and that's been a hallmark of my own belief since I was the National Finance Chair of the Democratic National Committee. So while it may not be perfect, overwhelmingly those objectives that I've just laid out have been achieved by this bill, and I think those are huge steps in the right direction.
Are you concerned about the parts that aren't part of this mostly perfect sort of?
We'll see. I mean, let's see how it plays out. The system we inherited was absolutely categorically imperfect. We have a far more perfect system as a result of this bill, even if it may not be perfect.
And then do you have any timeline for appointing new commissioners?
How many more questions do you have, Joey, just so I know? Sooner than later. We've already begun the process. We've got no news to make, but it's going to be a very strong bipartisan group of commissioners. And I think when folks see the list of commissioners that we are, and again, we're not making news yet, when they see the list of commissioners, you're going to see the last of the stories that they put a bunch of their cronies or their colleagues up, because you're going to see that's not the case.
Oh, so I've got time for a billion more questions. Great.
Nice try. Thank you, everybody.